Walmart to close Portland stores at Delta Park and Eastport Plaza. Now, a little while ago, Walmart indicated, hey, we're going to close some stores down. When I saw that, I looked at it, I'm like, none in Oregon? Not one in Portland? And then this story came out. And they don't really give a reason why. Yeah, kind of. In between, if you read in between the lines, they certainly do. Let's jump on in. Let's see what's going on in Portland, Oregon. Walmart is closing its stores in North and Southeast Portland, saying the two locations have not met financial expectations. And by that, we kind of mean there's more goods leaving the store than there is money coming in. And so you got a little loss prevention issue, got the whole security issue, maybe having the store have windows bashed out, you know, any one of those things, drug dealing in the area, homeless encampments, you name it. These locations probably have it. And can only imagine, okay, we're not going to tell anybody why we're doing this in Portland. We're going to have these other stores, and this is a big corporate meeting, you know, 45th floor, some ridiculous building. And then they go, well, what about those two stores in Portland? God, we got to close those down too. But don't make it obvious. We'll just kind of slide those in on the back end. And that's what they've done. They've slid these two Portland stores in the back end. Yeah. The retail giant said it plans to shutter the stores at the Delta Park and Eastport Plaza shopping centers, including their pharmacies, on March 24th. The company said it would work with its staff to instruct customers on how to transfer prescriptions to pharmacies of their choice, just not in Portland. You can go here, you can go there, you can go Hillsboro, you can go Eugene, you can go lots of other cities in the state of Oregon, but not Portland. That seemed interesting. That seemed unusual. No, not at all. If you've been here at News for Reasonable People, if you've been a reasonable person for a long time, this is one of those storylines that we talk about all the time. You got two options when you have massive loss prevention. And that's, you know, your prices go up and you close the store. Well, Portland, just closing the stores down. And then you get into this food oasis type deal where you've just got no food in the area, right? You got food way off over there, not here. And so who does that impact? It impacts the lowest on the socioeconomic scale who don't have their own vehicles, and the elderly who are oftentimes in that category as well, because they can't get around and they need medication. And Walmart oftentimes is one of those spots that provides, you know, affordable food and prescriptions. And now you've got one more thing where it's been taken out of that community because there's so much other craziness going on. There is no single case for why a store closes. We do a thorough review of how a store performs and weigh many factors before making the difficult decision to close a facility. I bet it wasn't that hard to close the two Portland ones. Have you guys been in the parking lot of those two Walmarts? Oh, good Lord. Not good. Not good. Let's shut those bad boys down. We don't need those stores in our portfolio. Ixnay on the Portland A stores. And you know, it's sad. It's sad because this community is losing something that is important to it, the ability to buy goods. And so, you know, this is one of those hard drawn in the sand lines where you don't really come back from it, because you know how long it takes to put a store in, and you've got to be in an area that is economically viable, meaning you can't have people bashing out windows, stealing stuff, dealing drugs, living in encampments, you know, doing all the crazy stuff that Portland is known for. And then, let's just put a store there. This will all be good. Uniqlo did it in downtown Seattle, and I question that one. I do. That is like a block and a half off of the Blade, which is, you know, the most dangerous section of street in all of Seattle. Well, it's probably right there with the International District, South 12th and Jackson Avenue South. So the closures means that a total of 508 employees 580 employees will lose their jobs, according to a notice sent to state and local officials. The workers, who are not represented by a union, were notified of their layoffs on Wednesday, and that they can apply for openings at other Walmart or Sam's Club locations. Just not in Portland. We're not doing Portland anymore. According to news reports, Walmart has announced plans to close more than half a dozen stores across the country since the beginning of the year. That's what I was following. Walmart operates 45 stores in Oregon. Willis said the retailer does not plan to close any other stores in the state. There's your read between the lines part of this podcast, right? Okay. So you guys are making some good money. Walmart's making some good money. We're going to hear about that in a second. And they're not closing any other stores in the entire state, but they're closing 2 in Portland. Well, they weren't meeting our goals. So yeah, but they didn't come right out and state why either. You know, these big corporations, they have deals with city, and they're not going to crash and burn their entire reputation on the way out. They're just going to, from a corporate standpoint, they're going to say, you know what? We analyzed what was going on with these 2 stores, and you know, our accountant guys, our number crunchers, they sat there and they ran the numbers. We're not getting there. Goals are not being met, which means you got other crazy stuff going on, right? The closure, however, means the retailer will no longer have a location in Portland. None in Portland. Walmart will not be in Portland. Surrounding areas, yeah. But then it creates this lack of, you know, affordable groceries and housing goods and prescription medication. It also means a longer trip to the supermarket for some residents. And that's where, you know, everybody wants to say, well, screw that neighborhood. They brought this on themselves. Well, a lot of the older folks, they didn't bring this on themselves. You might say, well, they voted that way. Yeah, to a certain extent. But I think the elderly are getting hosed on this one. That's by that, I mean anybody over like 60, right? While the North Portland, which I am close to, I'll admit I am close to that. While the North Portland store is in a lightly populated area, the closure means the next closest supermarket for the pockets of residents in the area is a Fred Meyer store nearly 2 miles away. And the closure of the Eastport Plaza Walmart will leave a densely populated swath of Southeast Portland with one less option. Walmart, sorry, I've been reading this without this going on. Walmart has had a difficult history with Portland, notably when it pulled back multiple times on proposals to build stores in the city amid harsh criticisms from then Mayor Sam Adams, who is now Mayor Ted's sidekick. But then he was fired because he got appointed to do something, and the whole leadership thing in Portland, Oregon has just been train wreck, right? It just has. The retail giant's decision to scale back its operations also comes a day after reported strong sales and profits for the last quarter, but forecast a tougher year ahead. So they are literally weeding out their shenanigan stores. That's what they're doing. Walmart's fourth quarter results, which included the holiday shopping season, exceeded expectations on earnings and sales estimates. Walmart's quarterly revenue of $164 billion was 7.3% higher than a year earlier. December was the best month for sales in history at Walmart stores in the U.S., the company said in a call with its investors. The world's largest retailer, however, delivered a grim outlook for the future of retail spending in 2023. Signaling that it expects inflation to continue to hurt its business. Walmart forecasts sales growth of 2.5% to 3% for the current fiscal year, below analyst expectations. So they've been making money. They made good money. And then they're going to close down a handful of really underperforming stores. And they don't mention Portland at all. And then they just back-ended, threw a couple in there. Now, as long as this isn't on the big announcement of stores we're closing, maybe we'll just sneak it by, and people in Portland, they'll understand. They know what's going on. So yeah, this is a sad deal for those residents who rely upon these stores to provide their goods. But this is, unfortunately, this is what you get with leadership and the direction that things have gone in Portland. You've got a lot of craziness and it's impacting real life, meaning stores are being shut down. And that's the disconnect I think a lot of people have is that, okay, yeah, we know there's some shoplifting going on and we know there's drug dealing going on outside. We know we got homeless people. We know we got hypodermic needles up and down the thing, but let people live the way they want to live. That's kind of been the attitude that got to this position, right? Well, here's one of those hardcore reminders. It's not just about letting people live their lives. Now these people's lives are being directly impacted. And this is just the way that goes. This is that reminder that there are consequences for actions and there are consequences for cities in their entirety as well. And that is what Portland is experiencing. That's the quiet part being said out loud that nobody wants to talk about because everybody knows why. Hey, Walmart, you're doing pretty well, but you just weirdly shut down a couple of stores that you say are underperforming. Is shoplifting just off the hook? I had conversation with a reporter from Como, Jeremy Harris. And, he basically had an interview with a guy living in Ship Canal Bridge encampment. And I think I've mentioned this before. That guy's whole existence was stealing from the local Target, selling his goods, getting his drugs. Rinse, repeat, continue. Rinse, repeat, continue. So if you have that many people in an area, say in Portland, doing the same thing to your store, what ends up happening? Shut her down. Shut her down by corporate. We don't want to deal with that. We've got all these other stores making us decent money. We're having some good run. We're having a good run here. Q4 was good. But those Portland stores, we got to shut those down before something really bad happens there. I'm totally making that part up, but you don't have, what we say, how many stores are in 40 something stores and the 2 you're going to close down are in Portland? Yeah. Telltale, isn't it? While the supply chain issues have largely abated, prices are still high. There's a considerable pressure on the consumer. John Rainey, the company's chief financial officer, said in a call with investors Tuesday, our guidance reflects a cautious outlook on the macro environment. What does that mean? It kind of means whatever you want it to mean, but this is in response to why these stores are being sold or being shut down. So we're going to do a little shuck and jive. We're going to do a little, there's supply chain issues. Those are mostly taken care of, but prices still high. And then there's pressure on the consumer, you and I, pressure on the consumer. So why are you shutting the stores down? Well, our guidance reflects a cautious outlook on the macro environment, the big picture items. Inflation's still going. So we got inflation. We've got other stores still staying on. We're making money. And yet we're going to have a cautious outlook, meaning we're going to shut these 2 Portland stores down and not really say why. Not really say that quiet part out loud, which is they're in areas that are under siege. How about that? How about we just say that? Because if it wasn't, if these stores were doing fine, if these stores were just doing average, like Walmart is basically stating the rest of their stores in all of Oregon, all 40 of them? Yeah, those are still going to be open. Going to be open for its residents. And you're not going to have a single store in Portland. I think that tells the story in and of its entirety. No Walmarts in Portland. That's got to be something else for a city with the population of 675,000 people in Portland, Oregon, and not a single Walmart. That kind of tells you right there where things are at and where other stores are going to be, other companies are going to be, other big businesses. Because if you notice, of the last few closures, most of these big chains, I'm going back to BJ's. Now, who doesn't like BJ's restaurant? Yeah. Did I have food there recently? Maybe I ate there. I can't even remember. yeah, my life has been kind of rocked here, and some other videos on this channel that you can check out. I had my youngest son died from an overdose, and so we think it's an overdose. We're not really sure, but there's a video on this channel that'll kind of tell you everything you need to know about how that goes. And you've probably already seen it. That's why I'm not continually going on about it. Plus it's also just kind of hard to talk about, and it's not fun. But, you've got these stores and I find this whole thing being shut down, and they're not really saying anything when they specifically leave Portland, when in fact they should be saying, hey, well, basically the way that you ran your city is the reason, and the end result of the way you ran your city is the reason we're leaving. That's what they should be saying. But it's corporate. And so we've got corporate speak for our guidance reflects a cautious outlook on the macro versus the micro versus the intermediary markets. I mean, we're looking big picture here, and we're seeing these stores underperforming and just a bunch of other corporate nonsense, right? Should have just said, wow, those stores are dangerous. Plus, all our crap is walking out the front door with all the drug addicts stealing stuff. We can't keep it under control. But we're only shutting down those 2. So 2 out of 45 or whatever, is it bad, is it? No, unless you live in Portland. Right? I mean, there's no other way to see this, I don't think. Because there's nothing else. There's nothing else that we can there's nothing else that we can point to and say, oh, this is the reason. We know what the deal is. And so many other stores have gone down the same road. Cracker Barrel, and I'm talking about Jansen Beach, Hayden Island in Portland, that is having just a plethora of stores in a very small confined area just leave. Big corporate. We've got, we got BJ's in that area. We've got Cracker Barrel. We had Stanford, nice steakhouse. They all recently shut down since the summer of 2022. And I think only one of them indicated, you know what? There were some safety concerns for our employees. There were safety concerns for our patrons. The store was underperforming, and so we had to make the tough decision to shut her down. That's what they did. We talk about this. This is not shocking. It's not surprising. This is the end result for mismanagement and a situation where a city has basically just gotten out of control. So much so that the residents who have nothing to do with that, other than using their vote to bring some of this upon themselves, that's fair. That's fair. They've gone down this road of, decriminalize everything and drugs are good, until they're not. And then you get in a situation like we're in since the pandemic, all of this stuff has kind of just risen to the top, hasn't it? Now you got no Walmart in Portland. How does that work? Don't know. Yeah, not good for those who need their, Walmart in Portland. So you're going to have to go a little bit further to get those goods, to get those services, to get those drugs, to get those prescription drugs. Yeah. Yeah. Our guidance reflects a cautious outlook on the macro environment. That tells me nothing, but we're shutting down your stores. That's it for me on this one. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.